We all have at least one primary learning style, and knowing yours will help you study languages more effectively so that you can achieve fluency more quickly. If that sounds confusing to you, stay tuned because I'm going to explain it all in this video. Think back to high school. There were usually a few kids who couldn't sit still or concentrate during lecture time, but then during group projects they really thrived. That might have been you. In my case, I really didn't like reading activities, but I loved listening to the teacher tell stories using presentations. Some of my English students prefer to have free-flowing conversation, while others prefer me to explain different grammar concepts and vocabulary using presentations. And there are various theories explaining the learning styles, but here I'm going to keep it short and sweet and explain to you the 4 predominant styles of learning. In this video, you'll learn how to identify your learning style and how to integrate it into your study routine. The VARK theory introduced by Neil Flemming identifies 4 primary styles of learning based on our senses. V for visual, A for auditory, R for read-write, and K for kinesthetic. Visual learners prefer to see information and they retain it better when it's presented in pictures, graphs, and visuals. Some top tips for visual language learners are to color code your notes. So you can highlight different words in your notes because that visual stimulation, it will help you anchor new words and phrases into your memory. For example, you can highlight the verbs with yellow, the nouns with blue, and the adjectives with green. Another tip for visual learners is to create flashcards using pictures. So you can use Anki or Quizlet to have the word, the vocabulary word on one side, and on the other side a picture. You can also use different charts and diagrams to memorize vocabulary. And a really good one is to draw, like doodle on your vocabulary notes to anchor those words into your memory. You can use doodles, symbols, diagrams, anything that helps you really visually associate words with visuals. Auditory learners prefer listening, and they retain information better when they listen to lectures, when they hear something explained with someone's voice, and in group discussion. If you talk to yourself like me, this is probably your learning style. I do this because it helps me process the words as I'm reading them, and it helps me with my speaking pronunciation. Also, hearing your own voice repeating information can help you remember new words and phrases. So you can repeat back, like shadow back what your tutor says to you. Probably not in group classes, that would be a little bit awkward, but in private lessons, shadow back what you hear your teacher say, what you hear in podcasts, or record yourself speaking aloud using voice memos. Auditory learners are the perfect people to listen to podcasts. So listen to podcasts and music and even videos so that you can practice listening to your favorite topics in your target language. Also, you want to engage in discussions often. So that means that you should ask your teacher questions and try to debate and discuss with them, even with your classmates. Another really good one is to use rhymes and mnemonics to memorize different concepts, like VARK. V-A-R-K. Now, read-write learners are really good with words and texts. They're pretty good at understanding concepts when they read, and they're pretty good at summarizing written notes and texts. They love structure and clarity. Now, some tips for reading or writing language learners. Take notes often. In your class, you should have your vocabulary or your notebook with you and take notes throughout the whole class of what your teacher says. And review these notes often. Get a good language textbook. You're good with words after all and with writing activities. So take advantage of the activities in these textbooks and also read books in your target language often. Another really good technique for read-write learners is to write summaries of what you learn in class, what you listen to in a podcast, what you read in a book. You're really good at retaining information once you've put it into a written summary. So keep that in mind. Another really interesting thing about read-write learners is that they're so good with recognizing patterns and structures that if they research the roots of words, where different words came from, they can remember and notice those patterns in written language and while reading. So to better retain these kind of words, you should research the roots, like where do these different words come from? What other words are they related to? And take note of that. That's going to help you record those words in your memory. Now, kinesthetic learners prefer doing activities, and they love practical exercises. They're hands-on and they retain information better when they're doing physical activities or real-life exercises. Now, some tips for kinesthetic language learners. The Pomodoro technique is key for kinesthetic language learners. Try to study for blocks of 20 to 30 minutes, and then give yourself a 5 to 10 minute break to drink some water, stretch, and then get back to it. If you take constant breaks to stretch and move your body, it's going to be easier for you to retain information when you're actually seated. Studying, reading, and looking over notes can be quite boring for kinesthetic learners. So if we break it into small chunks this way, we can make it more enjoyable and more digestible. Another really great tactic for kinesthetic learners is to use your body when learning languages. So you guys might notice I'm quite an expressive person. I use my hands a lot. I'm a kinesthetic learner. So this helps me express myself. And I started doing this actually when I started studying Spanish. I noticed that my hands, somehow moving my body and my hands, it helped me express myself even more. So if you can use your body while studying by using props, using different smells, different things you can touch and feel, you're gonna be able to anchor different words into your memory. Also, practice and repetition is really important for kinesthetic learners because we learn better in real life situations. And when we're studying, it's not really a real life situation. We have to practice and repeat often so that we can remember those new words and phrases. Now, when you're in class, you can do role plays, and you can also try to use real life examples when it comes to learning new words and phrases. So don't always just study words in isolated contexts. You want to try to use those words in real life examples. I want to give you guys a practical example of this whole theory. The other day while doing some research for this topic, I came across this picture of a language notebook, and I want you guys to pay attention to the different learning styles that this person is demonstrating. So this person is clearly a visual learner because they're using drawings to illustrate these different phrases that they're learning. I would also assume that this person is a kinesthetic learner because they're using real life phrases to describe and illustrate these phrases. So these are two ways that this person is anchoring and remembering the phrases in their memory because they're using pictures and they're using real life examples. So my guess would be that they're a visual and kinesthetic learner. So keep in mind, guys, that we all have one primary learning style. Most of us have 2 or 3 different learning styles. So let me know in the comment section down below, what's your learning style? Mine personally is auditory and kinesthetic. If you're still not sure what your learning style is, I'll leave the official VARC quiz down below so you can check that out. If you like this video, I think you'll like this one, so go watch that and see you next time.